LEGO has just released a new series of collectible minifigures. It is a full wave of space minifigs with a ton of different references to some of LEGO's most popular space sub-themes. So today I thought it'd be fun to make a medieval version with a bunch of different knights, peasants, and even a couple of fantasy creatures. We've got 12 unique characters to go over, so let's get into it. For our first figure, I've decided to make a Roman Legionary. We've gotten a few Roman CMFs in the past, but it's been quite a while since our last one. I would love to see LEGO take another crack at them, especially because the Series 20 Historical Viking CMF was such a terrific minifigure. I could just imagine them getting a nice new dual molded pair of legs and maybe a new mold for the helmet. The CMF line has always had the highest quality prints, so really anything for the Romans would be nice. Okay, so moving away from the historical side, let's take a look at this Werewolf Knight. I've taken a werewolf minifigure head and added it to this silver and blue knight. I actually really love how this guy turned out. I'm personally not much of a high fantasy guy myself, but this figure just works really well. The blue and white color scheme matches so well with the wolf's head, and it makes me want to make a whole army of these guys for my medieval world. Also, the wolf's head is surprisingly cheap on Bricklink, so it would be totally possible to do so. Anyways, let me know what you all think of that idea. I might be down to make a little army of these guys for a video. For the next minifigure, I decided to make a purple knight with the new torso from the medieval town square. I swapped his arms out for silver ones, and I've also given him some dual molded legs with a purple belt. I think this torso makes for a great custom faction, and you could really mix and match a ton of different parts to make them look cool. A quick search on Bricklink brought up these dual molded legs, and I think it would be a great match for this torso. There's probably a better option out there, but I might try that when this torso eventually comes to Pick-a-Brick. Speaking of, I cannot believe that this amazing sword mold is still locked behind the Rivendell set. It should really come in a cheaper set, or at the very least come to online Pick-a-Brick. Moving on to our next minifigure, I wanted to create a modern version of the classic Forestman. We of course have the official one, but I wanted to go for a slightly different look with this figure. And this is what I came up with. He's still got the deer insignia on the front of his torso, but has a slightly more muted olive green color. And I think it works surprisingly well. But the detail that I like most about this minifigure is his cape. I've given him a cloth piece that was originally used as a curtain in a Star Wars set. It's a lot larger than a regular cape, and it has a nice flowing look to it, almost like it's blowing in the wind, which makes for a cool effect for this archer. I much prefer how this guy looks compared to the new Forestman, but I imagine I'm in the minority there. Next up, we have a Mercenary character. I've used the Bard CMF as the base, and I've given him some brown arms and a hood. I am now really regretting only picking up one of these Bards when they were still available, because I absolutely love how this Mercenary turned out. I haven't really changed much with him, but I think these subtle changes actually work really well here. And I now want to build out a mercenary company with these torsos and legs. Actually, now that I think about it, you could totally use both this fig and the one we made earlier and combine them into one mercenary faction. I may have accidentally just found the next army that I'm going to build. Okay, next up we've got this Middle Eastern inspired Nobleman. I love this gold dragon torso a ton, and I've been wanting to make a custom fig with this torso for a while, but just haven't gotten around to it. It looks great with the chainmail gold legs that I've paired with it, and this helmet from Prince of Persia just ties the whole fig together. It would be cool if we got some more Middle Eastern inspired medieval figs from LEGO, as we haven't really gotten much over the years. They could easily do an entire historical CMF pack and I'd eat that up. For our next figure, I have this crazed Red Dragon Knight. LEGO came out with the Evil Knight CMF way back in the day, and he had a possessed look to him, and I thought it was a really fun idea. So I've taken some inspiration from that CMF for this one. The eyes give off that vibe really well, and the rest of the character is just a slightly beefed up version of a Red Dragon Knight. I've used this cape technique that I think works great to show a shoulder cape, and I've also put some red arms on this chainmail torso. To continue on with the faction remakes, I've got a new Fright Knight. I wanted to make use of this old bullet helmet because it's a fantastic piece that is sadly not in production anymore. LEGO should really consider bringing it back, maybe with a slight upgrade to the mold. At the very least, getting it in modern colors would be really nice. But anyways, this fig is a real mashup of a lot of different parts, but I think it turned out looking pretty nice. And it made use of one of the many Fright Knight capes that I have in my collection. For our next minifigure, we're gonna dive back into fantasy with this witch. The dirt prints on this peasant torso gave me the idea to make a kind of odd looking witch that you could imagine living in a dank swamp. To give the witch some accessories, I've given her a couple of potions and a cauldron to brew in. I actually feel like this character would make for a very fun habitat mock. I might try that out in the future. So we've only got 3 more figs to go, so let's take a look at the Viking Adventurer next. This torso is one of my favorites from Fantasy Era, and I just remembered that I had it, so I knew I had to make a character with it for this video. I've removed the blue arms that it comes with, and I've given them some silver ones instead. I've also given them this great face print and a couple of weapons for their adventure. And for their last accessory, they'll get a dog companion. Next up, we've got a Tavern Worker. I wanted to include at least one true peasant minifigure in the pack, and I thought a Tavern Worker would fit. In my opinion, this torso is the best peasant one from the new Medieval Town Square, and you can make it work for so many different custom figures. In this case, I've combined it with these Viking legs that have some great printing around the side of the boot. Okay, and now for our final minifigure. As much as I prefer the historical looking LEGO Vikings, I have to say, on occasion, I do like a good old-fashioned Hollywood Viking. For this one, I've given him that bright orange beard, a horned helmet, along with an oversized double-bladed axe and a round shield. He's very Hollywood looking, but I think he turned out looking pretty cool, and this cape helps hide the fact that he's wearing a backwards Lion Knight torso. And that's all 12 figs of the CMF. I really hope LEGO eventually comes out with a full medieval CMF, but for the time being, it's fun enough to come up with our own custom ones. That's just about all I've got for you today, and as always, thank you so much for watching.